Welcome to today's Explainer. We are about to embark on a truly cinematic journey through a nation where nature, culture, and absolutely extreme environments collide to create this beautiful, chaotic symphony. We're talking, of course, about Brazil. This is a land of majestic, endlessly sprawling forests. It's a land of infinite coastlines where the ocean just constantly caresses these golden sands, and it's a place deeply rooted in the rhythm of samba and intense, vibrant passion. Now, if you've ever wondered why literally millions of people pack their bags to visit Brazil every single year, well, you are about to find out. We are going to look at the jaw-dropping beauty, the sheer towering scale of its major cities, and the incredibly unique living standards required to actually thrive in extreme environments, like the deep Amazon. It is an enormous, green expanse that literally breathes. So get ready, because we're diving headfirst into a country where dreams truly have a soundtrack.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly do you define a country that holds both the world's largest, most untamed rainforest and at the exact same time boasts Latin America's absolute biggest concrete jungles? It's a pretty fascinating paradox, right? Brazil honestly defies imagination with its sheer vastness. It's a land of these beautiful, stark contradictions. On one hand, you've got pristine, untouched wilderness, where the entire rhythm of life is dictated solely by the seasonal rains and the flow of the rivers. And then, on the other hand, you have these incredible hyper-dense metropolises where millions of lives intertwine at this dizzying non-stop pace. Literally every single road and every single river here can lead to a completely new adventure.
Section 1. The scale of Brazil, vastness and soul. To really put this into perspective, take a look at this comparison. From the northernmost tip of Brazil all the way down to its southern extremity, the distance is exactly the same as the distance that separates London from Cairo. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about the fifth largest country in the entire world. It's a single territory that is almost larger than the entire continental European landmass combined. It is so unimaginably vast that it embraces 4 different time zones. When a country is this immense, every single region is essentially its own isolated world, telling a completely different story.
And filling that massive, sprawling expanse of land? 215 million people. But, this isn't just a giant statistic on a page. It represents this profoundly rich human tapestry. Because Brazil, much like the mighty Amazon River that collects waters from 1,000 different tributaries, has welcomed people from literally every corner of the globe. It is a melting pot in the truest sense of the word. I mean, did you know you will find the largest Japanese community anywhere outside of Japan right here? It's a place where indigenous, African, Portuguese, Italian, German, and Arab cultures don't just happen to live next to each other. They completely merge to create something entirely new and uniquely Brazilian.
And this brilliantly illustrates how all those backgrounds come together to form the modern Brazilian identity. First, the indigenous heritage is profound. You've got 305 distinct indigenous peoples keeping 274 different languages alive today, each holding this sacred ancestral connection to nature. Culturally, this massive fusion just explodes into things like Carnival, literally the biggest street party and show in the world. And of course, we can't forget their undisputed temple of the beautiful game, soccer, boasting 5 World Cup titles. They call it Jogo Bonito. Then, economically, they are a top 10 global powerhouse. They've spent 150 years dominating global markets in coffee, not to mention soybeans and oil. It's an absolute powerhouse built entirely on passion and diversity.
Section 2. Wonders of the Water. A transformative force.
275. That is the staggering number of individual waterfalls that make up the breathtaking Iguazu Falls, located right down on the border between Brazil and Argentina. The river literally splinters into 275 separate cascades, plunging off these massive basalt walls that were actually formed 120 million years ago during the separation of the supercontinent Gondwana. That is ancient history right before your eyes. At its culminating point, ominously called the Devil's Throat, the water falls 82 meters down into this massive, swirling vortex of steam. During the flood season, an unbelievable 12,750 cubic meters of water precipitate into the void every single second. The roar of this water is so loud it resonates through the surrounding rainforest like a giant primordial heartbeat. It is absolutely wild.
But water in Brazil doesn't just create thundering falls. It also creates these mind-bending paradoxes. Look at the Lençóis Maranhenses up in the north. During the dry season, as you can see, it is this vast, endless sea of white sand. The wind actually shapes the landscape, moving up to 30 meters of sand dunes every single year across a 1,500 square kilometer area. But then, from January to July, the rains come. And when they do, they transform this arid, stark desert into thousands of crystal clear, natural freshwater pools that perfectly reflect the sky. It is just a stunning display of nature's ability to completely flip the script and create complex ecosystems in the most extreme contrasting conditions imaginable.
Moving further into the interior, we find the Pantanal. This isn't just a swamp, it is the largest wetland in the world. During the heavy rains, it basically becomes an inland sea, submerging a territory roughly the size of France. But the real drama, that happens during the dry season. The water rapidly retreats, leaving behind this incredibly tight labyrinth of lakes and channels. This forces an unbelievable concentration of fauna into a tight space, creating a daily, high-stakes spectacle for survival. This is the land of apex predators. The jaguars here are actually physically larger than anywhere else in South America, with an adult male patrolling a territory of up to 80 square kilometers. Picture alligators crowding into the remaining muddy pools, massive 5-meter-long anacondas silently gliding through the shallows, and the sky just filled with the vibrant calls of hyacinth macaws, the largest parrots in the world. Its biodiversity thriving simply because nature is fully, unapologetically in control. Section 3. The concrete jungles. Rhythmic metropolises. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the breathtaking speed and sheer audacity of human engineering. We're looking at the construction of Brasilia, a true mid-century architectural marvel. They built this entire capital city from scratch in just 4 years, right in the middle of a barren central plateau. Year 1, they break ground on this futuristic urban experiment. Over the next couple of years, visionary architects completely rethought city living. They laid out a city that eliminated traditional street intersections entirely, favoring flowing roundabouts, and totally separated residential zones from commercial ones. By year 4, it was inaugurated. And the craziest part? If you look at it from above, the entire city reveals the distinct shape of an airplane. The government buildings align along the monumental axis to form the fuselage, and the citizens live out in the wings, in what they call superquadras, these massive residential blocks surrounded by lush native vegetation. Beyond Brasilia's planned perfection, Brazil's other major cities contain entirely opposite worlds. Take São Paulo, for instance. This is a sprawling financial titan with over 12 million inhabitants living in a massive, endless skyscraper grid that quite literally never sleeps. It's a place where you can find hyper-rare fruits flown in from the Amazon being sold in bustling markets right next door to high-end global cultural institutions. Then, completely switching gears, there's Rio de Janeiro. Here, nature literally crashes into the city. The Tijuca Forest, which is the largest urban forest in the world, wraps its green arms right around neighborhoods that are globally famous for their iconic beaches and non-stop samba. And finally, Salvador da Bahia, the very first capital of Brazil. Here you're walking on 500-year-old cobblestone streets in the Pelourinho district, lined with these stunning Baroque churches dripping in gold leaf. It's a city deeply defined by its African roots, where the martial art of capoeira seamlessly transforms into dance right in the public squares. Each of these cities is a completely different, wildly colorful chapter of the exact same Brazilian story. But when we talk about that specific intersection of nature and humanity, we really have to pause on this quote, Cidade Maravilhosa. Translated, it means the marvelous city. This is what the locals, the Cariocas, call Rio de Janeiro, and honestly, they nailed it. Nestled tightly between these giant granite mountains that just emerge straight out of the Atlantic Ocean, with the iconic Christ the Redeemer statue embracing the whole city from above, Rio isn't just a place, it's a unique symphony. Actually, scratch that. It's a state of mind. At sunset, when the fading light tinges Sugarloaf Mountain with this brilliant gold, you realize why everyone is so obsessed with it. Every single alley and hillside tells a profound story of incredible resilience, beauty, and absolute joy.
Section 4. Life in the Amazon. Rhythms of the Forest.
Okay, if you want to understand life and the intense living standards out here, you first have to understand the scale of the water. Look at this comparison. The Amazon River carries almost more water than all 10 of the world's next largest rivers combined. Think about that. It single-handedly guards 12% of the entire planet's freshwater supply. Flowing for nearly 7,000 kilometers, this absolute water titan crosses the South American continent like a giant pulsating vein. During the rainy season, this river can reach widths of 50 kilometers. Imagine looking across a river and the other bank is a 50-kilometer drive away. It is a colossus that dictates every single aspect of survival in the region. Because of the sheer power of that river, the Amazon rainforest operates as a vertical universe. It extends far beyond just a flat jungle floor. Let's break it down. Step 1, right at the bottom, is the humus-rich soil. This is the dark, nutrient-dense foundation feeding a millennial cycle of life, decay, and rebirth. Moving up, you encounter the igapo. These are the periodically flooded forests. During the heavy rains, the ecosystem totally transforms. Fish literally swim among the submerged tree trunks, and the famous, incredibly rare pink river dolphins navigate these new underwater territories to hunt. Finally, stretching way up into the sky, you have the 50-meter canopies. These towering treetops are home to an entirely different, sunlit world of multicolored butterflies and roaring monkeys, with jaguars echoing far below. Every single vertical layer hosts a perfectly balanced, unique ecosystem. So the crucial point is how these massive, powerful water systems interact with one another. And that leads us to a stunning phenomenon just outside the city of Manaus, the meeting of the waters. You can take a boat out and witness a surreal visual boundary right in the river. The dark, almost pitch-black waters of the Rio Negro flow directly side by side with the lighter, sandy-toned, milky waters of the Rio Solomons. Because of stark differences in temperature, water speed, and density, they run perfectly parallel to each other for kilometers without ever mixing. It looks like a glitch in the matrix. It's easily one of the most hypnotic natural phenomena on the planet. And sitting right at that dramatic meeting point is Manaus. Living standards in the deep Amazon require some incredible adaptation, and Manaus is the prime example of human ingenuity. It is literally an urban island totally surrounded by a green sea of rainforest that extends for hundreds of miles in every direction. It was originally built on immense, staggering wealth from the 19th century rubber boom. They were so rich, they even imported fine materials all the way from Paris just to build a massive opera house, the Amazon Theater, right in the middle of the sweltering jungle. But today, the most amazing feat of human engineering here is its floating port. Because the river's water levels can drastically shift by up to 15 meters, that's a 5-story building, between the dry and rainy seasons, the port is designed to rise and fall with the water. This ingenious adaptation ensures that massive cargo and passenger ships can dock year-round, connecting this modern urban center to remote, roadless river villages that would otherwise be completely cut off from the world.
Section 5. The Hidden Highlands. Ancient Landscapes.
Leaving the deep jungle and heading up into the highlands, you find this stark, almost jarring juxtaposition between humanity and nature. On one side, you have cities like Belo Horizonte, a carefully planned metropolis deeply integrated with nature, featuring the ultra-modern, sweeping curves of Oscar Niemeyer's architecture, like his famous parabolic church sitting right on the shores of an artificial lake. But then, just a journey away, you step out of the modern world and into a landscape that dates back over 1 billion years. The Chapada dos Veadeiros. This is a vast territory filled with ancient, sparkling quartz rock formations that literally look like they belong on Mars, featuring over 120 waterfalls plunging into deep, dark pools. It's humanity's most cutting-edge creations, sitting right in the backyard of nature's most impossibly ancient designs. Let's move further into the interior and see how this builds into even more extreme highland environments. Deep in the heart of Brazil is the Chapada da Diamantina, where millions of years of wind and time have sculpted these massive tabular mountains. Hidden underneath them are underground waterfalls that shine with an impossible radiant blue light over beds of black crystal. Then, heading further south, you have the Itambazeño Canyon, where nature has carved dizzying, sheer, rocky walls that rise majestically for nearly 700 meters, totally surrounded by lush, thick forests. And running through all these highland regions is the Cerrado, the vast Brazilian savanna. This area is one of the last true refuges for incredibly rare biodiversity. We are talking about plants that grow literally nowhere else on Earth, alongside fascinating, almost mythical-looking creatures like the long-legged maned wolves and giant armadillos just wandering through the brush.
It is almost too much to wrap your head around, isn't it? From those ultra-modern skyscraper grids that pulse with samba and global commerce, to the flooded, life-giving veins of the deep Amazon that act as the lungs of our planet, all the way to the ancient, wind-sculpted canyons of the remote interior. Brazil isn't just a country. It is a place that contains multiple, vastly different universes all living within a single border. So, we want to leave you with this question to chew on. Between the vibrant concrete jungles, the flooded Amazonian forests, or the billion-year-old hidden highlands, which of Brazil's breathtaking, contrasting worlds would you step into first? Let that wanderlust kick in. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and we will absolutely see you next time.